This story took place in my beloved city of Dallas. I finally decided to ask my future wife's hand in marriage to her parents, and to receive a blessing. Now I think of it, and my heart is pounding with the pleasant events of the past. Her father first gave his consent, blessing the union modestly and glancing at her mother. The mother agreed, adding, "I give my consent, and you take it and remember that you are bound to love." Then only I noticed the charm of her mother. Her name was Emily, who, being the head of the family at the age of 42, was astonishing in her exquisite beauty, refinement, and appeal. It seemed that any man was captivated by her. Even I could not hide my admiration. Victoria, her daughter, was just like her mother, like two sisters, only with an age difference. After the wedding and the honeymoon, my mother-in-law began to take care of me as if I were her son, which puzzled me. On top of that, I couldn't help but notice my mother-in-law's ambiguous looks. Sometimes, during family dinners, she would put her hand on my knee, instructing me on how I should raise her daughter. On holidays, not drinking much whiskey, my father-in-law would often apologize to me, saying that he could not keep his innocent daughter safe for me. Gradually, I began to trust my mother-in-law, considering her my equal. She tried to start conversations about my intimate relations with Victoria, but I was always embarrassed and avoided the subject. After a couple of years, we got used to each other, and I felt like a full-fledged member of their family. But one day, when my father-in-law was drunk again, he told me the shocking truth. It turns out that 10 years ago, in their family there was a tragedy. Their eldest daughter died in a car accident. She was traveling with a friend to Las Vegas, and their car was hit by a truck. And Victoria, her younger sister, was born later. She was carried by a surrogate mother and biologically related to me. These revelations made me look at my mother-in-law in a new way. I now understood her ambiguous behavior and secret views. Having lost one daughter, she was afraid of losing the second one, seeing me as a threat to her happiness. Although even after these revelations, our relationship with my mother-in-law remained friendly and warm, I always remembered the day I learned the truth. One day, when we were alone in a hotel room, I accidentally wandered into the bathroom and bumped into my mother-in-law. She was not embarrassed in the slightest, smiled and calmly asked me to wipe her back. You see, seeing your wife's mother in front of you in that position is super unimaginable. At the same time, my mother-in-law was slyly watching my silly look in the reflection of the mirror, and as if accidentally touched me. I flinched and moved a respectful distance away. She suddenly turned to face me with a victorious smile and deliberately hit me below the waist. It sent shivers down my spine. Well, go ahead, because you see how nervous you are. If Victoria gets jealous of you, you'll know. Emily said, such a beautiful and without principles mother-in-law, knowing that I'm completely dependent on her daughter. I flew out of the bathroom like a scalded man and went to the balcony of the hotel room to freshen up and have a smoke. The breeze blew across my face, and I thought about what had happened. She had become my secret dream. However, the thought came immediately. Then I realized that in time Victoria would also become like her mother. Moreover, I was even sure that I would not be disappointed by this study. It was from that moment on that I began to seek a meeting with my mother-in-law to spend as much time with her as possible. Just the thought of wiping her back kept me awake. At the same time, I thought hard about whether I had fallen out of love with my wife. No, my love for Victoria hadn't faded, but men sometimes wanted something more, without allowing secret relationships into their hearts. However, this is fully applicable to women. That's the way the world works. Making secret contact with my mother-in-law was easy and at the same time very painful. Emily, as I began to call her to myself, tormented me. She understood that I was partial to her, and after that incident in the bathroom, I was trying to get closer to her, and she would allow me a little more than I should, or she would reject me. She was happy to play with me, and I was languidly waiting to meet her, losing sleep and appetite. So I decided to change tactics. I just became moderately rough with her, trying to irritate her. I left the calf tenderness aside. Of course, she became nervous as I didn't respond to her flirting. One day, when we were vacationing at their house as a family, I went outside at night to smoke. The night was with a full moon and bright stars, and the air was so delicious that the smoke of a cigarette could not interrupt it. I see my mother-in-law come out onto the porch in a drowsy state without noticing me. I picked her up under my arms and gently pressed her against me. She flinched and tried to pull away, but I held her tight. "What are you doing?" she whispered through her teeth. "I love you," I answered. She froze in my arms and then hugged me back. "I do too," she said. We stood like that for a while, enjoying each other's closeness. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. "I've been waiting unbearably long for you," said my favorite mother-in-law, honey. "Don't be afraid. It's not cheating. It's just your destiny." Then, with a smile, she added, "A good man has my daughter." The sweetness of the night overtook us both. The moon lit up the gazebo like daytime, and I was afraid we would be seen through the window. I felt like a thief who had successfully stolen a certain jewel. Oh, what a good feeling it is to take someone else's jewelry, and such an intimate one at that. I envied myself. Wow, this is such a victory. "Well," Emily whispered in a soft voice, "you made me very happy." I silently agreed. I was still uncomfortable with what had happened to us. As we drank, she, being a little drunk, asked, "What, are you afraid of your wife?" "Yes, I cheated on her. And with whom? With her own mother." After this incident, my mother-in-law began to take the initiative, and we began to meet secretly. But it didn't last long. One day, Victoria caught us. Having learned about the betrayal of her loved ones, she was furious. My wife kicked her own mother out of her house, and I spent 4 days wandering around friends and trying to figure out how to fix everything. Finally, tired of such a life, I bought a huge bouquet of flowers, candy, and went home to ask for forgiveness. To my surprise, Victoria forgave me, and things got better. We began to live together again, and I promised her that I would never cheat again. And since then, I have kept my word. Thank you for listening to this interesting story. Subscribe so you'll always know there's a new life story on the channel. Comment and like. Good luck and good mood.